In our last video, we created some storefront glazing that we put in there, or windows. And what we're going to do now, just this view, is we're going to put some banded windows in here, like this one, this version. And then in the following video, we're just going to put windows in. And I know that this is pretty ugly, but that's not the purpose of this process. So we'll live with the ugliness and go forth and do the steps. So let's do that. Let's put a banded window in here. And to do that, we're going to use a storefront again. So I'm going to go into Walls Architecture. You'll see I created a bank window band right here, so I could change some of the settings. And let's just go in and we'll see what I changed. Exterior the same, glazed, automatically embedded, vertical grid, the continuous grid, layout fixed for fixed distance to, so we're using a similar one to the other. But you'll notice what I changed here was the interior type. In other words, I changed this to 1 inch square here and here. So we got a smaller mullion on the inside of the banded window, and I'll point this out as we put the window in. So basically took the same storefront. I'm going to say OK, and then I'm going to go to level 1. No, I want to go to level 2 because that's where my window is. Okay, and you'll see that you may notice that the storefront below is showing. The reason it's showing is because right over here, underlay level 1 is showed. Okay, so when you turn this on, there is a none setting. So if you don't see any underlay, it's probably because it's set to underlay, and you're telling it to underlay everything that's on level 01. Okay, that's not hidden by other objects. And so this can be very useful in lining things up with the level before it. You'll see also the orientation, whether you want the underlay below you to either be a reflected ceiling plan or the plan. And so we're going to use plan. So that's a good trick to be aware of. So we're going to put this window wall in. Go back and select it again. Now I change views, and since it's going to line up with the one below it, I'm just going to start right there. Oh, the other thing I need to do is check where it's going to be set. So I'd say level 02 finished floor. I don't want the glass to go all the way to the floor. I want it to do like a typical window. So here I'm going to put in 30 inches, which is a typical window sill height, 30 or 32 inches. And then the offset, I'm going to keep that the same from the top level, and we'll see how it comes out, and then I may want to change it a little bit. So I'm going to come in here, and I want this band of windows to run the whole building from this to this. Boom. And you'll notice right here that the major portion of the sill is to the outside, the short portion of the sill is to the inside. That's usually opposite of the way you design windows, and the reason is because this allows more water to catch on the window. So what I'm going to do before I move on is I'm going to flip this by just selecting it and then hitting the tab bar. Okay, and when I hit the tab bar, you'll notice that now the glazing has flipped to the outside. So you'll notice that the mullions aren't correct, and this is not continuous. Okay, the seal is not continuous. So to fix that, I'm going to go back into the storefront that I created before. Well, let's put this on thin lines first. That the mullion is not in the center, is not placed inside the glass, it's on the outside of the glass. And so to change that, what we have to do, I'm going to select back to here, is we can't change that condition in the curtain wall itself. It's the location of that mullion in relationship to the panel. In other words, this line right here is based on the actual definition of the mullion itself. To make changes to the mullion or to create a new mullion, we're going to go down here to in our families. Notice this is families, and curtain wall mullions, and you'll see the 1-inch square mullion that we are using right now. And I'm going to open that up, and you'll see it right over here. And there are several things in here that you can do to adjust the mullion and change its location in the window. So I'm going to duplicate this and call this a 1-inch by 1.25-inch mullion centered on glazing, because I'm going to move the centering of it too. So you can see right now the mullion looks like this, and what I want to do is change these settings. But for these settings to have an impact on this new type needs to be replaced in our storefront window. So for right now, I'm just going to drop out of this real quick. Okay, I'm going to go back to my curtain wall here, and I'm going to go edit type, and since I created that new mullion, you'll see it right here, centered on glazing. Okay, and also I want to do that for the horizontal. Once again, centered on glazing, so I'm going to apply that and say OK. And of course it didn't change yet because I haven't made any changes. So we're going to open that centered on glazing. Whoops, wrong one. Centered on glazing right here. And we're going to make some changes so you can see the impact of different settings. So thickness, that's the distance perpendicular to the glazing. So if I put 3 inches in here and hit enter and apply it, notice it got 3 inches thicker. But I don't want to do that. What I do want to do though, well, I'll come back and show that change in just a minute. Then on the width, this is on each side of the grid. So right now it's 1/2 inch on one side of the grid and 1/2 inch on the other side of the grid, and so that makes it a total of 1 inch. This is fine with me, but if I wanted to make this 2 inches or whatever, I would just divide that number by half, and I could put half on each side, or if I wanted to offset it, even if I wanted to offset it. The other setting is one called offset, and this offset is the relationship of the mullion to the panel. Okay, I'm sorry, that's wrong. Not to the panel, to the center line of the window wall system, that dash line that you see when you select on window wall system. So what I want to do is move the mullion, and I don't want the thickness, so I'm going to move it now, and this is positive and that direction is negative. So I'm going to come in here and say 1 inch, let's say, and I'm going to apply that. And notice it moved it 1 inch. That's a remnant of the graphics card. But it moved it 1 inch, and notice that's not enough. It needs to go some more. And actually, since I've already done this once, 1.25 should do it. And if I apply that, it's centered. But what I'd really like is about 1/8 of an inch on each side. So I'm going to go back in here and change my thickness to 0.252 and apply that. And now I've got a little lip on each side. So that looks really good. I'm happy. I'm going to say OK to that. I changed, once again, I needed to make sure that I changed that in my window wall system. And this is the line I was talking about before, that's being offset from. The same thing with panels. Everything's offset from that center line, or not if you choose 0. And so with that done, I'm going to go into a 3D view and take a look at my window now. And if I zoom in, it should be correct. Though something's wrong with my interior mullions. So this is a good checkout. Okay, so my horizontal mullions, let's I chose the wrong one. It's the 1 1/2, 1 1/4 centered. Apply that. That should correct it. Perfect. And so you got to make sure you get your mullions right. Okay, and so now I have this kind of nice little small steel inside a larger frame of the window. And there's a variety of ways. I could do this as two pieces, and I'll just do that just to show you the effect of that. So let's go back into a south elevation, and I'm going to centerline this, okay, and then I'm going to copy this from there to there. Okay, so I can stack a set of windows next to each other. Of course, the mullions are doubled here. Okay, and I have to live with that adjustment. So the next video is going to cover how just to put in a single fixed window, aluminum frame fixed window.